I'm kind of mad I missed it because I literally jumped for joy when that happened. That cluster is lit up, which means everything's plugged in. We're going to go for a start. I'm double checking everything right now. I'm actually really excited right now. We're so close. This has been like 2 months in the process. I am so happy to see this cluster light up. You have no idea. And I think this box is not immobilized. So we're going to try the one that is immobilized. I'll have to send this box out to be flashed real quick. But we got power, everything's on, something's flashing over here. It's this box and the car keeps yelling at me. I think this is the security system. So yeah, we're gonna put them mobilized. Oh my god, stop yelling at me, I know. There's so much wrong with you, I know. What's up, everybody? This project's been put on a little bit of a back burner. It's been about a month since I've really done anything to it. House stuff, life stuff, it is what it is. But we do have it completely torn apart. I have every wire where it needs to be. I wound up with a starting issue. It didn't like that either A, didn't have a matching cluster and key, or B, didn't like me lengthening one power wire. Like I said before, I've tried that before and it straight didn't work. Well, surprise, surprise, it didn't work again. But right now, all the wiring is in place. The motor is back together. It's full of fluids. And perhaps, most importantly, it starts. It actually starts. As you can see, I had to completely tear everything apart. I had to put the Volkswagen harness basically underneath the dash, pushed up against that wall as far as it would go. That meant that all the connectors reached where they need to reach. I didn't cut a single wire. Actually, that's a lie. I had to lengthen this one wire, which went to the coolant temperature sensor for the fan. But other than that, completely unmolested Mark IV harness. I mean, this is the stuff for the doors. I know I don't need this ground. But, I mean, after that no start, I wasn't taking any chances. Every single ground, every single light. This actually goes all the way back to the tail lights. And so does that other side. But, lo and behold, when you turn the key, it ain't the happiest, but it's running. So we haven't got to the power steering yet. I don't know if that works. I assume it does. But what I know doesn't work is me combining the Honda master cylinder with the Volkswagen slave cylinder. I think the Volkswagen slave cylinder is physically larger, and the Honda just can't push it. I got a clutch pedal. It's all bled. It just doesn't work. So it is off to the junkyard. We're going to get a Volkswagen clutch pedal and master cylinder. I am assuming I have enough space to put the entire assembly down here. It's probably very similar design. So yeah, at this point the only thing that I haven't messed with on these pedals is the Honda brake pedal. So a bit of a setback, but we're plodding along. Again, that clutch pedal, I think the master cylinder for the Honda is, I guess, too small, and it probably doesn't pump enough fluid to move the Volkswagen slave cylinder. So we're going to have to fit the whole Volkswagen clutch pedal to the place where the Honda clutch pedal went. It will hopefully exit around this area where it already is. And then I will simply be using the Honda little master cylinder reservoir to run this Volkswagen run with any luck. It will just kind of pop out. The hose will go right into it, and we'll get a clutch. But as it stands right now, the clutch does not work with the pedal depressed. I don't think it's pushing enough fluid. Alright, what I'm working with right now, I got the Honda fuse box out the way. I do still need it to run lights, windows, and whatnot, so we'll be going back. I'm really hoping that the Volkswagen pedal isn't that much longer than this Honda one. The pedal placement looks decent. I don't see why I can't do this. That being said, this pedal might wind up being in a kind of a weird position. It might wind up being over the dead pedal. But it's kind of the only way I can get this to work, so it is what it is. Alright, we're preparing to get this clutch pedal in. Obviously it does not bolt up, so we'll be doing the same thing we did with the gas pedal. And make this template, real simple. 3 bolts, it comes out the firewall. It will be spaced probably about 1/4 of an inch. So accept these bolts, and then it'll bolt on just like it's something that should be in the factory. With spacing, I have just enough room to get the factory clutch line out, and then again the Honda master cylinder, or I guess master reservoir will be hooked up to that. I'm hoping that just having its own fluid, it'll just work. I don't see why it won't. So yeah. We got the plate made for the Volkswagen clutch pedal. Now we're just going to weld these bolts onto the back. It does space it out a little bit, obviously, but it is what it is. Pedal's in kind of a weird position. There is a steering column on the other side of this that I can't really do anything with. So the pedal's going to be in... Oh, come on, you stayed up there a second ago. The pedal's going to be there. So I have to get rid of the dead pedal because it would get in the way of the actuation. And kind of puts it in just a weird pedal setup. Oh, there's no real pictures of the build process because this is hard enough to do in the angle I got, and my welds are kind of some poop. But yeah, this is the Volkswagen clutch pedal. It is in. Made a simple bracket using literally scrapping nuts and bolts. But that is a fixed. That does work. The placement is odd. This is the brake pedal. I mean, there's a pretty big distance between the two. So it's going to be kind of odd, and probably wind up resting your foot here if you're driving as opposed to over here like you normally would. But hey, it's a working clutch. Or we assume it's a working clutch. I don't see why I wouldn't. But coming around to the outside. Got this hole a little bigger than it needed to be, whatever. I'm going to make some sort of plate to kind of clean it up. But just with some bending, the Volkswagen factory clutch line is pretty much a fit. Just some slight bends here and there. I mean, it's an absolute rat's nest over in this corner of the car, but yeah, it does pretty much plug in. I thought I was going to have to do a lot more, but I mean, I literally just bent it in 2 places and plug and play. I was pretty impressed with that. So we're going to bleed it, and I assume the clutch will work after that. I find it hilarious that the Honda Master, or the Honda Reservoir, is like a factory fit, basically, with a Volkswagen Master cylinder for it. That's funny. It was meant to be. If you find yourself doing brake work and clutch work often, and you don't have one yet, I would obviously recommend getting a vacuum bleeder for cars. This is a janky old, like $40 Mighty Vac. It's been banged around. It still works, but it just makes the job of bleeding things so easy. You don't have to push the pedal. You don't have to do anything. It just does it all for you. I just ran like 3 ounces of brake fluid through this clutch in like 5 seconds. So yeah, definitely recommend if you find yourself doing this work a lot. Oh yeah, that feels like a clutch. Alright, I got my gas pedal plate mocked up. It's real simple, just a plate literally with a piece of exhaust tube on it, but that should get it spaced welds right to that, probably at about that height, right about there. And then it is, right now it's compressed all the way down with a zip tie, so that's my full range of motion. So I think that's good right about there. Like I said, this pedal setup's going to be kind of weird. It's half Volkswagen. Now, right now we're going over this clutch line setup. This is just a factory Volkswagen clutch line that I bent in like 2 places, and it basically bolts right in. Given where I put the master cylinder. Right now we're just dialing in, checking all these leaks. Well, one leak. This little O-ring that goes in between this line and the fitting, in just TDIs and 2 liters, uses a special little O-ring that pretty much always leaks. Even the kit that I got on the website, they were like, yeah, always replace this O-ring or it will leak. And I was like, yeah, you don't say. It's the second time I've done that, and I don't know why I haven't learned my lesson yet. So yeah, it leaked. I had to go get one from Volkswagen. I got it in. Everything is dry. I'm basically just super cleaning everything. This is the position of all the various pedals. This clutch pedal is kind of far over for a car in general. The dead pedal would go like right here. So we'll call it a quirk of the car, but at the end of the day, it's a working clutch, and that's all I really care about. Honda brake and a Volkswagen gas pedal. And clearances actually wound up being pretty tight on that between the 2 cars. I had to kind of push this up. Pedal position might be kind of feel weird going, because this goes straight up and that goes down. But I mean, it is what it is. Those are pretty much the only way to get the Volkswagen engine to work in the Honda. You have to have this Volkswagen electric pedal, and just due to the way the clutch works, you have to have this Volkswagen clutch. I'll actually even be able to plug in the neutral safety switch, which is over here. Duct tape and zip tied. Oh, the zip tie failed, but that's how we were getting it started. This just gets pushed in and the car starts. So I should just plug that in to where it would go, and it's be a fully functioning car. As far as this car is concerned, it's a Volkswagen now. Alright, so obviously when doing something like this, you have to address the fact that the drivetrains would not go together as far as what's on the outside of the axle and what's on the inside. So I'm kind of winging it on this one. I don't expect these to work forever. I'll eventually get some custom axles made once I know this thing actually works. But right now, what I'm doing, and I have been doing pretty much the whole time of this build process in the background, is doing my axles. So the Volkswagen axle is hollow, whereas the Honda axle is solid. So all I've done to mate these two together is simply cut the Volkswagen axle to a certain point, and then cut the Honda axle to a certain point where they slide into each other. This thing in the center is simply a steel like sleeve for just plumbing, and I have machined it roughly to be a pretty snug fit. It's not perfect. It does have a little bit of motion, but for the most part it's going to keep the axle as centered as I possibly can make it, while basically eyeballing an axle. So we're just going to weld these two parts together, and I do have to check my clearances. I do have to make sure that this can go in and out to a certain level, and I'll be picking kind of a midpoint between where that is, and then welding it. And hopefully they won't bind as I turn. I'm sure I won't get this right my first time. If I do, I'll be genuinely surprised. But for right now, we're just trying to get this thing rolling. In the future, we'll have some custom ones made. They're obviously more expensive. I'll probably just hand them these and just tell them, yeah, copy these. And they're going to be like, did you seriously do this? And I'll be like, yeah, I did. We're getting down to the final step. Yes, I said final step. I'm putting the axles that I made in. Everything else, unless I'm forgetting something right now, is done. And I'm going to try to drive this thing a little bit. This is simply the Volkswagen inner that attacks the transmission. From the factory, they're hollow. And from the factory, the Honda one is solid. So I was actually able to slide the Honda one in. This part extends into this axle by about that deep, and there's a sleeve here and here, and then I welded that all together. It's pretty spot on. It doesn't really have much wobble to it. I don't know how long these are gonna last. They could last for a while. The car could be just fine. Alternatively, it could not like the suspension geometry with the engine being too forward, backward, whatever, and the CV joints might blow. But at the end of the day, it cost me literally $8 to make these. $4 per axle, a $2 sleeve, $2 sleeve, and the rest was just welding. So I mean, for $8 custom axles, I'll run them, especially if they might just work. So I'm gonna revisit this now while I got it still up in the air and I have the part. Again, this is actually a shifter bushing for the shifter off the Honda, and the rubber is for shifting. Probably not good torque mount. It's just unbelievably flexible, so we're gonna go ahead and pop it out. It's nothing. So I got this polyurethane replacement. I am squeezing it, it just doesn't do anything. So that should be hard enough just to function as a torque mount pretty much for the remainder of this car's life. Nice good fit, not too bad for, I think I paid like 15 bucks. And not just for this, it came with something else I didn't need. But yeah, that should work. Alright, well, this is the moment of truth. I know the engine starts. Well, I assume the engine starts, but here's the real test. Does it move under its own power? Reverse? That clutch feels so light. Oh! Oh, snap. Something is clacking its butt off, though. What is that clacking? Is this the steering rack? Ah, okay, it's suspension related. Not a big deal. It's suspension related. Probably that ball joint I can't tighten up on that side, but I'm gonna take it for a spin. Yeah, so right now I'm running on a blown turbo. I know it's blown, so it's smoking like a bit, but it just kind of just the wheel. Well, now I know why these back tires are on the front. Really are clearing it by nothing. Oh, it wants to go. Oh, even like it's so light. Oh God. There's so many noises. I don't know what's making noise back there. I got all sorts of brake noise up front. A lot of noise from the back though, not from the front. We got some bad brake grinding. I really would like to know what that is. That's so bad. It drives just like a Mark IV, and it's cracking me up. I'm not like missing any of these gears. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm gonna try boost. Nope. ECU does not like that. I gotta wait for my ECU to get back, so for right now I've got no boost. Do I? Alright, that's fast. That is not tuned at all, and that was hauling. Oh, that was starting to haul. So bad. Got to put power steering in it to see if the power steering system works. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the fender. Alright, that's easy to fix. I do have to fix that so I can hear all these other noises, but first test drive, just running. I'm sweating because I was nervous like the entire time. I was like, what's gonna break? What's gonna blow up? But oh man, and that boost! Oh, all I could do was laugh. This thing was starting to go seriously fast, and it was kind of hard to control. I wanted to go all over the place. Oh man. First test drive, she works. She works. Not well, but like I said, that's mostly tuned. That's mostly tuned. It's running the wrong injectors. It's running a turbo, duh. As well as running a VR6 mass airflow, which is not even supposed to be on there. So that's a big part of the drivability issues. But it works. She's working. Shit sick.